Mickey 17 is a science fiction dark comedy movie. Yeah, it's kind of a satire that doesn't take itself too seriously, but has nonetheless a lot to offer. For starters, this is a movie made by the director of the very popular I forgot the name of the movie. Parasite. The director who made Parasite also made this movie, and I still have not watched Parasite, so I can't really give you any sort of insight into what I think about that. But once I get around to watching Parasite, I'm going to release a small, unscripted review, such as this one, on my channel. So basically, what's Mickey 17 is all about is this dude who signs up for the so-called Expendables program, which sees him in the position of a crew member of a colony ship that is supposed to colonize some faraway planet, far away from Earth, because he, the protagonist that is, has indebted himself via some shady individuals who now want their money back, which he can't repay. Now, being part of this Expendables program means that he has basically volunteered to be a guinea pig for any kinds of experiments that require him to, participate in, that require his participation, so to speak. These kinds of experiments can range from going outside with only a normal spacesuit on and waiting up until he dies of outer space radiation, or maybe going onto the surface of the planet that they want to colonize and breathing in the air without any sort of protection to make sure that there aren't any viruses down there. And should he die doing any of these things, he can just be reprinted. Reprinted, meaning he gets a new body, but the same memories are still put into said body via basically something that looks like a mix between an external hard drive and a brick. And so he's being used for these kinds of experiments. About 16 times, like he dies from these experiments 16 times, which brings us to Mickey 17, which is his current iteration. And at the beginning of the movie, he accidentally falls into a crevice in the ice on the planet they're trying to colonize, and is being left for dead because it looks as if he's basically fatally wounded. Or if he's not fatally wounded, then he's going to be taken care of by a bunch of the original inhabitants of this planet, which is a sort of bug creature. And from there on out, we get a story of a very philosophical nature, where we face a similar conundrum that we've already faced in the movie Moon by David Bowie's son, which is, if you can clone yourself, what does that mean in regards to your personality, or in regards to you as a person? Are you still you, or is that clone you, or have you already died by the time that you, or rather your first clone, has taken over your role in the society at large, or rather in whatever kind of societal constellation you're participating in? And initially it feels very similar to the movie Moon, if you've ever seen that one. If you haven't seen that one, I highly recommend it. It has a very similar premise of someone working a very dangerous job, but said person is always on the verge of being replaced if he, goes missing, if he just straight up dies or whatever. Like, he can always be replaced by another clone. And the premise is very similar to that, but the execution is different, since this movie is more of a comedic take on that, but a very dark comedic take. The movie does not shy away from just kind of treating Mickey's constant string of deaths as a very ridiculous kind of thing to happen to him. At one point, he's already in the body bag about to be disposed of in the waste disposal, which is like a fucking pit of magma. And he actually turns out to still be alive, but they throw him in there anyway because, let's face it, it's easier to make another clone than to wait for him to recover from whatever injury he has sustained. And, yeah, there are a few interesting twists and turns and quite a lot of very entertaining and very funny scenes in there. And in total, I don't think it's necessarily the most revolutionary science fiction movie I've ever watched, but it is nonetheless a science fiction movie that does prove that you can have a relatively original story that is not based on any previously existing IP in this day and age, and have it make 100 million. Granted that this 100 million didn't necessarily help it break even, because the budget was around 100 million, if I remember correctly. But other than that, I was very much entertained. It is an exciting movie at times. It is a funny movie at other times, and there isn't really anything necessarily bad I could say about this movie. You got Christ, I forgot his name again. The dude who plays the Hulk in the Avengers. He plays like a Donald Trump parody, and there's some discussion of whether or not he actually was meant to be an allegory to Donald Trump, or if that's just what Mark Ruffalo, that's his name, that's just what Mark Ruffalo wanted this role to be. And he's a very over-the-top character. But then again, fucking Donald Trump is a very over-the-top human being. Donald Trump just kind of like seems like a parody of himself. Half the absolute mentally challenged nonsense that he is spewing 24/7 could be misconstrued for parody. That's why so many people always act as if, oh no, he's just joking. Oh yeah, shut the fuck up, man. He's not joking. He's just a legit fucking fascist. But I digress. The point is, Mark Ruffalo does play this fascist role very well and very fittingly, and it is very satisfying to see him die at the end of the movie. I mean, listen, it's a bit cliche because I wasn't quite sure if whether or not they were going to be a bit more creative with the antagonist and have him die in, or maybe not even, whether or not they would have the antagonist survive somehow and then do something creative with him, or if they would just dispose of him. But they just kind of disposed of him, which is fitting. He's a despicable asshole, and he deserves to die. And yeah, it was a very entertaining and very exciting climax that this movie offered me. So once again, I can't complain about anything in this movie. At least not like, okay, there are some cliche turns and twists every now and again. And sometimes the movie feels a tiny bit slow, but I'm perfectly willing to give this movie a score of, it's definitely like an 8, 7.5 to an 8. For different reasons, though, that I gave a 7.5 and an 8 to Nosferatu. But it's a pretty damn good science fiction flick. Go watch it. Christ. Robert Pattinson is giving a brilliant performance as more than one character. Yeah, that's all I have to say. It's a great movie. Fucking Christ. Go watch it.